Hey, I'm John Cannell, and today on Preppy Kitchen we're making some buttery, delicious blueberry scones. So let's get started. First off, we're gonna combine the dry ingredients starting with 2 cups or 240 grams of all-purpose flour right into a big bowl. And as usual, it's best to use a scale. If you're not, fluff your flour up, sprinkle it into your measuring cup, level it off, and you'll be fairly close to the correct amount. For some sweetness and to soften our scones, 1/3 cup or 66 grams of granulated sugar. For a little bit of contrast, a 1/2 teaspoon of salt. To puff things up, we have some butter, which will kind of fluff it up in the oven, and 2 teaspoons of baking powder. 1 and 2. Grab a whisk and give it a mix. By the way, if you like my recipes, hit that subscribe button. There's 2 new recipes every single week. That's nice. For richness and to fluff them up, as I said earlier, 1/2 cup of ice cold butter. If you've only had store-bought scones, it's sad, sad times for you. They are not good. I almost thought I didn't like scones, period, because they were so dry. So incredibly dry and like just gross. That's because they were stale and old from a bakery. If you're making them yourself with fresh ingredients and no preservatives, they are delicious and a really lovely way to start the morning. They're really delicious plain. You can finish these off with some sanding sugar or granulated sugar before they go into the oven. But I think today I'm gonna show you how to make a beautiful glaze. It could be vanilla, it could be blueberry, it could be lemon, it could be all 3 of those. I cubed my butter up and I'm going to sprinkle this into the flour. You have a choice here. You can use your hands or a pastry blender or even a fork or knife to work the butter into like smaller pea-sized pieces. I can use my hands. So toss the butter in the flour to begin with, and then start squeezing. If you want to do this by hand, but you find squeezing the butter to be a bit difficult, maybe you worked out really hard at the gym, maybe you have arthritis, I don't know, but I would recommend using European style butter. It has a higher fat content and it's just softer. Our American butter has a little bit more of the milk solids, etc. in there, and water, and it's just firmer when it's cold. I've worked the butter together. There are no more cubes left, and I have a few larger pieces, maybe the size of almonds. And that's okay, you're gonna continue working this together once we add the liquid and the egg in. In my humble opinion, blueberries and lemon go hand in hand. The zinginess of the lemon really gives the blueberries a nice lift. To get maximum flavor out, we're using the zest of 1 lemon. It should be a well-washed lemon, preferably organic. Tap that zest in. The star of our attraction, blueberries, 1 cup fresh or frozen. If you're using frozen blueberries, just don't thaw them, straight out of the freezer. That's 170 grams. Give these a nice toss to distribute, especially to break up all that zest. Lovely. If you're watching this from someplace abroad, especially the UK, and you saw the cover image and the intro, you're thinking, what are these weird triangles? Those are not scones. This is a whole thing. I'm not gonna get into it right now, but American scones are usually like triangular in shape and they're fairly rustic looking. A British scone looks, in my mind, like a beautiful American biscuit. A biscuit in America is a cookie. The list goes on. So this could be a conversation forever. Maybe that's a fun live to do one day. Both are delicious. They look quite different. Similar buttery flavor. To pull this all together, we need some liquid in the form of 3/4 cup of heavy cream, which corresponds to double cream in the UK, I believe, and 1 large egg. Crack that in. And if you wanted a little extra flavor, a teaspoon of vanilla. It's optional though. Give this a good mix. The thing is that you want to have your liquids well mixed together, and you could mix forever and ever right now. But as soon as the liquids and the dry are combined, you do not want to activate all of the gluten in your flour, because your scones will go from being buttery, delicate, and melt in your mouth to a bit more chewy and bready, which is not the vibe. Okay, pour your cream mixture into the dry and just fold it together until you have a nice, very shaggy mixture. As a rule of thumb, when you're making scones, the messier and more problematic your dough, the more delicious they will be. So you're kind of just like very gently mixing this. You want to have it be mostly the same texture, which is wet and messy, but not a pool of cream wet, and not, a mountain of powder hiding in the bottom either. This looks great. So now flour your countertop. You can see this comes together so easily, but I will confess that in the morning, I am bleary-eyed and half awake and not in the mood to make something delicious like this. I'm in the mood to enjoy it. So just as a by the by, you can make the dough a day or two in advance and keep it in the fridge, or once the scones are patted and shaped and cut, it can be in the freezer for up to 3 months, and they can go straight into the oven in either case. Transfer your dough onto your floured surface. Just make sure you get all of the dough out. I'm gonna flour both hands as well. And we want this to form into a ball. I did a pretty good job mixing, so it's coming together fairly quickly. If you need to, you can knead it a few times on the countertop, just so it comes together. But I'm fairly satisfied with the way it looks right now. Shape it into a disc that's about an 8-inch diameter. Okay. Once you have your disc, we're gonna cut this into 8 wedge-shaped pieces. So cut it in half. I would flour whatever you're cutting it with as well, in between. And if you have kids, this is such a great time to pull them in and just talk about part-whole relationships or fractions. I say this as the former middle school math teacher. So halve the halves to make quarters, and then halve the quarters to make eighths. And then just, make sure whatever you're cutting it with is cleaned off and floured in between, because it is sticky inside. Lovely. These wedges can go onto a lined baking sheet right now. Don't worry about the spacing, because we're just gonna chill them for now. They need to freeze for 20 minutes so it can really firm up and not melt when they go into the oven. Into the freezer for 20 minutes, and halfway through, preheat your oven to 400 degrees Fahrenheit. After 20 minutes in the freezer, we are gonna brush the tops with a bit of cream. This will give us a lovely color out of the oven. So as I said earlier, you could just pop these into the oven and they're delicious, but I will be making an icing for these. I love using fresh blueberries for icing. It's so easy. You get a lovely color and a lovely taste. Optional again, but you can sprinkle some granulated or sanding sugar or turbinado sugar on top for a little extra sparkle and crunch. My blueberry scones are ready to go into the oven, 400 degrees for 20 to 25 minutes, or until the tops are lightly browned and the bottoms are just golden. In you go. For the optional glaze, you have a couple options. One, don't do it, it's optional. Or we can make a lemon glaze, in which case we're gonna use 2 cups of powdered sugar as our base. It looks like a lot because I fluffed it up when I sifted it out. I'm gonna add the zest of half a lemon or so right into the sugar. Tap that in. And now we want 3 or so tablespoons of fresh lemon juice. I'm gonna give this a mix now, and you want this to be a nice drizzling consistency. But today I'm cheating and dividing this in two so I can show you a lemon version and a blueberry version, which means I'm gonna leave it crunchy and weird when I divide it out. Grab a handful of blueberries and just toss them right into your sugar. Bloop. And use a fork to mush them up.
Oh.
Juicy. You can see the color coming out right away. A little more lemon juice. Okay, now you can see we have a beautiful drizzling consistency blueberry icing that's actually a nice pink color. If it looks too slack, just add more powdered sugar. And if you're making the lemon icing, just add more lemon juice until it's the correct consistency. Once your icing's done, drizzle your heart out. And just like that, they're ready to enjoy. Night and day compared to a store-bought scone. These are buttery, tender pillows that are crisp on the outside, but impossibly soft inside and so full of flavor. I hope you get a chance to make this easy recipe, and if you like my videos, hit that subscribe button and check out my breakfast treats playlist.